Painted Live. Look at the classic Play It Painted. Here we go, people. Long time no see. We're just gonna fire this sucker up, and we're gonna do a little bit of painting here. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. Let me go ahead and get us on the live stream. And I'm going to open up comments a couple different places, so just bear with. And I see that we are streaming Guild Ball Rage. Oh, our streaming is bad. Are we... we haven't dropped anything. So let's view this on the watch page and see how we got. See how we're doing. Okay. Oh yeah, audio seems to be okay. Alright, so I'm going to mute that, and we're going to see how we're doing here. Check out my... little choppy. Still quite choppy. Yeah. It's a little fluttery. Hey, what's up, Congo? Yeah, I don't know what's up with this, with my XSplit. It just doesn't, I don't know if it just doesn't record video properly anymore or what. But we're gonna prep this model, actually get most of it painted, and then maybe we'll get you guys to come over and watch the rest of this on Twitch. Let's go ahead and set that up. There we go. Alright. So yeah, that's the plan. We're gonna go ahead and just do a little bit of painting here. And yeah, I'm gonna move, I'm actually gonna move this video here so I can control everything from that side of it. So yeah, just a little bit of painting on this side. It's going to be a lot of airbrush stuff, which is actually fine because given how choppy the video is on this side, we're going to do that here. Also, when I head over to Twitch, we are going to turn on the public Discord, not the public Discord, but you know what I mean, the subscriber slash Discord. So if you're a subscriber to me on Twitch, you know, you can join that Discord, and we're gonna talk a little bit later. I'm actually got a little bit of a rant to go through. So hey, that's always good. Where you been? I stream as often. Believe it or not, what's up, Greenleaf? Believe it or not, Adam, I have still been streaming this entire time. I stream almost every night, just like usual. The only difference is I'm over on Twitch. So that's where you can find me now. So if you are not following me on Twitch, I highly recommend that you do if you like this content, or if you like hate watching me. Some people do, I think. I think a couple of people like to hate watch me. If you like to hate watch, then also the advice is still the same, right? You can still go over to Twitch, and you can hate watch me on Twitch too. Go to bed, Congo. But yeah, so yeah, that's where I've been, and you know, I figured it's been a while, right? It's been a while since I've streamed over here, and the reasons are several, but not the least of which is the fact that XSplit just seems to be shitty at you know, condensing my video down and making it viewable. It's really kind of bad. I'm like, what am I gonna have to? Am I gonna have to stream at like 720 or worse? Than I have to stream at like 540 so that you guys can actually see like smooth movement. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm just cleaning my airbrush a little bit here before we get going. Just want to get all this guck out, and then we're gonna prime. I actually have two Guild Ball models that I want to paint tonight. And I probably won't finish them here. I'm only going to be here till about 10 o'clock. And then I'm not kidding. I'm gonna shut down and switch over to Twitch. Because Twitch for live streaming is just phenomenal. It's just miles better than this experience here, unfortunately. You know? Listen here, Canadian, you have no power. Oh, it's just like old times. People talking that trash in my comment section. But hey, I do, yeah, I do miss the old days. I miss some of the old days. I don't miss being on this format where I had so many technical issues all the time. So I don't miss that. I also don't miss the whole like YouTube weirdness. Like YouTube is a bit more political than Twitch, but it's weird. They both kind of have their culture around them. Oh, hey, what's up, Cameron? I'm gonna change your username again. No worries, dude. Anyways, welcome to the feed. We're gonna get going here in a minute. Where are my gloves? But yeah, we're gonna paint here for a little bit, and then we'll swap over to Twitch. And then yeah, and I'll give you guys a little bit of my. You'll charge you right. Damn, that's a pretty serious threat coming from a Canadian. You know, when they call their moose out to come get you, that means they mean business, okay? Usually when a Canadian threatens you, it's usually like they don't say sorry for talking over you. Like that's considered violence, I believe, in Canada. Those are like the thugs. Thug life in Canada is stuff like that. You know, it's like not apologizing profusely is acting like a thug. I think the Prime Minister, labels that hate speech, and they can throw you in jail or something like that. Pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. I'm not a Canadian lawyer or anything like that, but I do think not saying sorry constantly it alerts some sort of special commission on not being Canadian enough, and then they come to your house. They may or may not take all your syrup away. There's some consequences is what I'm saying. Like that's some deep shit, man. You gotta be careful. See, the problem with bell bottoms is they're very hard to prime. It's very hard to get. A little primer down in there. But yeah, it's been a long time since I've been on YouTube. But I know, no, don't worry. I'm still streaming. I still paint all the damn time. I'm just doing it on Twitch. All right, so. But I know some of you guys did not follow me over to Twitch, so I'm gonna come hang out with y'all for a little bit. So just a little bit of primer here for Mr. Rage. And for those of you local, and you want to come hang out with me on the 27th down at Comic Quest in Lake Forest, I will be hosting another paint day there at Comic Quest. So this is Sunday the 27th. It's also my birthday weekend, so that'll be cool. So come by, say happy birthday to me, sing me a half-assed song, and I will promise to not throw anything at your head. Okay, so that'll be a good deal. We can both uphold our sides of the bargain. And I won't call you Canadian. That's the other thing. I don't know why we're suddenly on these, like, we're on like a Canadian tirade here. Alright. So we got two versions of Rage. We got this Rage, who is basically that's Vet Rage. This is OG Rage. This is Season 1 Rage. And I've never had an interest in fielding this character. Like, I've never had an interest in playing Rage. But I'm on this kick in Guild Ball where I want to field the 6-man boxes as they're built. You know, I want to field those 6 players specifically. And play that, like, as a format. Because I think it's fun. I think it is fun not being able to, you know, where you can choose, you're basically choosing a team, but it's a built team. You know, you're choosing a guild, and you're choosing a team, but it's a built team. Like, you don't get to pick, mix and match, and have your absolutely, like, perfect... Oh, gosh. I just spilled a little paint on my pants here. My wife will not like that. Oops. Alright. That happens. But yeah. So that's kind of the idea. Is, you know, you pick your 6... Usually you're going to pick the box based on the guild and the captain, right? And in the case of Union have 2 boxes, right? They have a Blackheart box, and they have a Captain Rage box. I'm just running air over this, by the way, just to dry him off. And so there's 6 players in the Blackheart box. And in the original Blackheart box, you get the original Rage, who I've never played before until this week. I've played against him, but never as part of a Union team. Always part of like usually you'll see Rage in a Mortician's team, because he's good. He's fantastic burst damage. Like Season 1, a lot of Morticians would take Rage so that they could get that add some burst damage, because that's one thing the Season 1 Morticians didn't do terribly well. Is, you know, outside of Obulus, who did everything well in Season 1, you didn't have too much burst damage in there. Although you did have Cosset. So if you field Rage and Cosset in the same list, you have some pretty good influence efficient charges. But there's some downsides to that as well. We're just getting a little... I'm going to dry off our dude here. So now we're gonna do a true Zenithal, like old school style. I'm not sure why, but why the hell not, right? So since we're here, if you guys have any projects that you're working on, anything that you're painting or what you should be painting, you can share that with us as well. Rage and Rage. Okay. So we're going to take some US gray. We're going to add it to this mix. So I hope you guys are having a good Saturday night, or maybe a Sunday morning, depending on where you're tuning in from. I had an okay Saturday. It was okay. The first half of today was fun. The second half, a little frustrating, not gonna lie. Oh man. My rant tonight is about it's kind of like, you know, the struggle of being a gaming volunteer and teaching people your game, and you know, the run-ins, the encounters you have with gamers and so forth. Because I did have an encounter today. which was kind of doubly a bummer because I just wanted to get in a quick game. Like, I didn't want to, I didn't plan on anything today, and so getting in a game was more of an afterthought. So I'm like, maybe I could get in a game and stay on the clock, get a nice quick 90-minute game, and then get in, get out, right? But I was kind of subject to a little bait and switch, okay? And I proceeded, so the next 2.5 hours of my live was lost. It was lost. It was kind of spent on frustrating stuff. And I was not very happy about that, so I'm trying to figure out what color I actually want his jacket to be. Not bad. Okay, let's go ahead and empty this out. But I've been on such a Guild Ball kick, and I've been like, I've got the crazy fever for Guild Ball right now. There's a lot of hype around the game right now. There's SteamCon is going on this weekend. The Season 4 stuff is being leaked. We're starting to see the Falconers. We're starting to see, we know the Falconers Guild is right around the corner, and also they also leaked the Navigators Guild today. So the Navigators Guild is a minor guild based off of the Fishermen, right? So in the same way, the same spirit that the Rat Catchers are a minor guild for the Morticians, and the Falconers are a minor guild for the Hunters. So the Navigators are a minor guild for the Fishermen, and so they leaked some of the models today. And let me just tell you, I've never played Fish. Like, I've had Fish teams and sold them. I'd sell them like immediately, and never really interested in playing Fish. Right, but I loved painting Fish because I like the miniatures, the models for Fish. They're really awesome. And let me just say, the Navigators launch kit has some limited edition minis in them, and when they have limited edition minis, those are usually limited edition minis for the major guild, right? So the Rat Catchers guild launch kit had limited edition miniatures for the Morticians, okay, and the Navigators Guild launch kit has miniature limited edition Fisherman miniatures, okay, and they have in this kit they have a limited edition Angel, and it is my favorite sculpt right now. In Guild Ball, it's my favorite sculpt. Like, they leaked a picture of it, and it's my favorite sculpt. What it is it's Angel wearing a pirate hat, and it's my favorite thing right now. And I'm like, so tempted. I want to play it so bad. Well, I don't want to play it. I want to paint it. I don't care. Like, somebody else can have it. I just want to paint it. So that's. I don't know. That may be a thing for me. I may decide that, I'm going to have to get one of those launch kits and paint the Angel in that, and then somebody else can have it. Somebody else can keep it. All right, I cannot find my favorite white. 1 second, you guys. So anyways, Adam, what are you painting, man? Long time no see on your side. Why don't you tell me what you are painting, sir? But for those of you who aren't following me on Twitch, like I was saying earlier, life is the same, right? I'm still on, and I stream nearly every night, probably around three to five nights a week. I stream. And, it's a little bit later than it used to be, so it's not so much 9 p.m. Pacific. Now it's closer to 10 p.m. Pacific. and that doesn't have much to do with going over to Twitch as much as it just has to do with my kids not going to sleep. My kids have decided they're gonna stay up later, okay, and it's a major pain in the ass, and you know, we gotta just deal. As someone who lives in a fishing town, does masonry, learns smithing, likes alcohol, hence Guild Ball's appropriating my culture. You might want to report them for that. Speaking of which, if you guys, like I said, I did just recently finish another guild for Guild Ball the other night. So this is this is from the Blacksmiths Guild. This is a limited edition bolt, and you know, he's got the hilarious dab going on there. So stuff like that is cool. And then I have this. They also painted Rookie Ferrite, who I absolutely love. I love this sculpt. Super cool. So I painted that whole guild, and I'll be trying them, not the whole guild, but the box 2, essentially, Mastercrafted Arsenal. So I'll be trying them out at some point. Alright, this is my favorite airbrush white of all time. So Adam, if you I know white is a bitch and a half to spray. This is the best shit. Okay, go out and get yourself some Insignia white. As you can see, it's not. It is not. You can see it's not quite as clean a white as dead white is. So if you have dead white's a cleaner white. But there's a downside to that, right? Dead white does not spray as well. It's not a very good. It's just not a very. You have to thin dead white, or you got to shoot it out of a bigger needle, and it's prone for spitting. Insignia white sprays very nicely. That said, I'm gonna spray it and probably jinx myself. But yeah, this is one of the best. This is the best airbrush white I've ever used. Right? It's good. Alright, so I'm just going to use it to kind of lightly highlight. It's absolutely great for Zenithal priming. And even stuff like this, like, see the little edge on the cleaver there? Really nice. Oop, got a little bit of spit there, but that's actually my fault. I was being a little too brisk with it. As you can see, this stuff kind of sprays like a dream, honestly. It's really quite nice. So I'm just gonna use that to drop a few points of light there. Whoa. Yeah, this is gonna be a problem. Hold on. I'm gonna have to stick him on. I'm gonna have to stick him on a stand that will actually support him, or just reset this sticky tack so that it can support him. All right. Okay. And we're just gonna. So he's got a cleaver there. And just a little bit of light off his shoulders. Whoa. A little too much light there on the back of the hat, but that's okay. Okay. There you go. Pretty cool. And we're going to do the same thing on OG Rage here. And OG Rage has like a white shirt, so. So you could actually just, like, I could actually just paint in his shirt white with this color. Really great spray white. Get a little bit of spit there, but super fine. Got a little transition on the cleaver. Quite nice. So if you're just joining us, welcome to Play It Painted Live. Let us know what you're painting and what you should be painting. Tonight we're going to work on some double rage action. And I'm just dropping some Insignia white on this bad boy. As kind of like a top level highlight. So I'm thinking his vest is going to be Octavius Sleepy, as he was up late masturbating over the royal wedding. Yeah, unfortunately, what's up, Canvas? Yeah, I didn't get to watch the royal wedding, so I had to just imagine it in my head. And so, you know, you got to work a little harder. You got less material, so, you know, when you're giving it a good tug like that, you gotta really have it. You know, you gotta have a good imagination. You know, it takes a lot of creativity for that. Hey, what's up, Blade Wolf? Welcome to the feed, man. So yeah, what I'm gonna do, like I was saying earlier, we're gonna spend a little bit of time here on YouTube, and then I'm gonna head over to Twitch. We're gonna head over to Twitch around 10, and then I'm gonna pop into the community Discord that I have set up, because I'm gonna rant. Okay, I got some shit I need to rant about. I need to get it off my chest. So yeah, so we're gonna do that over there. I don't know, and really, I figured we'll start over here because it's been a while since I've streamed anything on YouTube. I was actually going to film, you know, how I play SDE with my toddler. But I'll have to do that video when I get back from my trip next week. Who touched me? Ugh. We'll get into that, man. Bad news. Alright. So I want a little bit of blue. I want a little bit of like dark blue on these. Well, there's two ways. I should probably not do the dark blue. In fact, I should probably do the like a medium blue in my palette here. Yeah, that's probably the better way to do that. So I need a good blue. Not electric blue, maybe like magic blue or heavy blue. Heavy blue might be okay. Oh, this dark blue would actually work out perfectly. Okay. So I'm going to make myself a little bit of a glaze out of dark blue, glaze medium, and airbrush thinner. And this is just going to be like, we're just going to use this as kind of a tone. Am I going to need to go onto Twitch to witness the rant, or will you stream on here also? Because of my stupid status with Twitch, I cannot simulcast anymore. Because I had to sign a contract that when I stream on Twitch, anything I stream on Twitch, they own exclusive rights to for the first 24 hours. Now, ain't that a bitch? They own it for 24 hours, and then I can archive it back to YouTube. So, yeah, isn't that shitty? It's been on. It's like that was one of the major things that kind of bugged me. Was like, oh shit, what did I just do? Because, you know, I really kind of waffled on that whole decision to go affiliate on Twitch. But I was like, hey, you know, it'll be good. People can support the channel, and they don't even have to use their actual money, right? Twitch touching on people's balls now. Yeah, you know, they That's why I kind of debated over it. But again, I was like, well, you know, they can support the channel without actually having to pay me money. That's always nice. And I can use that money for things like Extra Life and then, you know, if it ever got to an appreciable amount, I can continue to pay the hobby. You know, and I could just Twitch. It was kind of a, probably wasn't the best idea I've ever had, but I figured, you know, hey, we'll try it. It'll, you know, we'll be on Twitch for a year. It'll be an experiment. There's a certain amount of money you need to make on Twitch, and if you don't make it as an affiliate, they will, they basically charge you the difference of that, between that and $100, right? So basically, if you don't make $100 a year on Twitch, they charge you, they'll charge you the difference. So like, you know, if you made $85 or whatever, Twitch will charge you $15, and then they'll take your affiliate status away. And if this, and right now it doesn't look like that my little Twitch experiment is paying off, right? It looks like I'm not able to make, you know, I'm struggling to make anything on Twitch. So the experiment may be over, right? And come next year, I'll probably be able, you know, I'll probably lose affiliate status, and then I can go back to simulcasting like before. So I'm just blocking out this blue. That's kind of dumb. Yeah, it is. It is kind of dumb. But, you know, that's the downside to Twitch. YouTube, you know, you monetize on YouTube, and it's all tied into YouTube ads, right? So if YouTube decides your opinion sucks, or they don't, you know, or whatever, they can just demonetize your video. So I have like a couple of videos here on YouTube that are monetized, and they're like my top hit videos, and they're not very good videos. So it's really no skin off my back. I don't think my subscribers aren't even interested in those videos, so it doesn't really matter. At least you have a real job. See, now you got to be a patron. It's true. No, I think this will. I will not. I don't see myself ever going on Patreon, unless for some reason, you know, I end up being like, if I were to be like someone like an Ash, you know, from Guerrilla Miniatures games, where it's like people really like Ash. He paints really well. He plays so many different systems, and he's he's a very entertaining guy to watch. If I ever got to that status, then probably I would look at like Patreon or something like that. And you know, Ash's hobby supports his whole family, so that's a cool thing for him. I don't see that ever happening for me. But yeah, I don't even see, like I was saying, I think this Twitch affiliate stuff is gonna not pan out for me. So, but I don't want to call that right now. Like, I want to see the whole year, see if I actually do get supported enough to continue with it. But if I don't, you know, I kind of have a fallback plan off that too. Ooh. Get a little blue here on the vest. Okay. I'm painting Tabletop Worlds buildings for Mini Wargaming second round. You don't need to. Ash does much stuff, and we get Ash. He's the 1%. Yeah, I'm not gonna need to. Ash has a wife that makes a good deal more than him. No, unfortunately, my wife does not make a good deal more than me, so that's probably not going to work either. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and we're going to continue to work on this blue. So now what I need to do is I'm going to highlight the blue, and then we're gonna shade the blue as well. Okay. But yeah, I still think, you know, my whole vision with being a Twitch affiliate was more around having a budget to sustain the hobby as far as a channel is concerned, right? So let's say if I made, for example, if I made $50 a month on Twitch, that's a Guild Ball box set per month, right? Then what I could do potentially is I could paint that box set, play the box set, and then one of two things. I could either and it would I would alternate, right? So 1 month I would raffle off that box set to one of my subscribers, and then on alternate months I would take that box set, drop it on eBay, and then take the proceeds from that and dump that into my Extra Life. That was the plan anyways. So it's like, oh, this is gonna be great because it's gonna, you know, it'll support my Extra Life. It'll support. I guess I should do this steel gray. It's kind of the. I need lighter actually. So you see where I'm going with that. That was the original idea. Was I would be able to do something like that. It doesn't look like that's ever really going to be a thing. So if that never becomes a thing, then there's no point in asking you guys to give me your Amazon, you know, Prime account info either, right? There's no real upside to that either. But I don't want to let it out. Like, I don't want to give up too early. I want to see if that actually lies. You know, minis. Lies. Yeah, I don't want to like give up on it now. It's not June yet, you know. But part of it is too. It's like, you know, if you are doing the Amazon Prime subscription, then you got to remember to do that shit every month, and you know. So I don't want to like, I don't know. I just don't want it to get to be like annoying to where I'm like, where that's all I really care about is if you guys do that. Honestly, I don't really give a shit about that. It was a plan of mine. I would prefer to really just, you know, be here and do my hobby and talk trash and not have to worry about, you know, losing monetization or, you know, really my only real worry should be if I ever were to say something so upsetting that they just kick me off the platform, you know. But yeah, but while affiliates on the table, then that is a cool thing. Like that is a potentially cool outcome. All right. So now we're gonna highlight. Whoa. Right? Plans are for honkies. You're saying that he should free the bird. So we're trying. This is some like low-level Heraldez type shit. Like if Heraldez was bad. Do a Kickstarter because no one in the gaming industry ever abuses this. Oh god. I got a little story there, man. I'm just gonna say it because I know this guy doesn't watch my show. But I'll tell you a little story. So there was a local guy, really good guy. You know, I was kind of friends with him or whatever. And you know, he even hopped on this feed like 1 or 2 times back when it was YouTube, right? And he ran a Kickstarter. He did a he did a Kickstarter on the miniatures game he was trying to develop, right? And all good and cool, whatever. Local guy, good guy. I figured. Wait. I gotta stop. I said honkies in another stream. Guy didn't know what I meant. Googled it and was so mad at me. Lost. Oh shit. That is classic. Yeah, kids these days, they don't know what honky means. And it's such a good word too. I love that. I love honky and howly. Those are cool. You know, I know so many people gotta talk shit about the white man these days, but if you're gonna talk shit about the white man, like, use the good terms like honky. Like, use those terms. Those are good terms. Howly. Those are all good. You know, people only know like Wedo. They don't know the really good ones. Oh, he was an older guy. Really? If he's 40 plus, shouldn't he know? That's really kind of shocking to me. Howly. Yeah, howly is a term Islanders use, Canvas. Like Hawaiians, Samoans. Some Filipinos don't really use the term howly, but yeah, like Hawaiians typically would use the term howly. And that's by far one of my favorite. Okay. Extra salty. He said he was mad it was a racist term. I mean, it is a racist term. It totally is. But it's cool. I don't know. You guys know how I feel. I think racial epithets are hilarious, and we need to use more of them across the board. Everybody should. We should use racial epithets for everything. Like, I told you guys my favorites for Asians, right? Slope, pie face, Buddha head. Those are super hilarious. Like, we need to use those all the time. By the way, did you even know, like, Filipinos, they call them flip for short, right? Did you know that that's an acronym? That actually is a racial epithet to call a Filipino a flip, because it stands for funny little island people, right? That's what that's literally when you say, hey, you know, a Filipino, oh, that flip over there, dude, that's what that means, funny little island people. And there's like, I don't know, 3 Filipinos that think that's offensive, but fuck them. We don't give a shit about. Like, I actually read that. I read an essay by some Filipino girl. She was Filipino American. I think she was half. Not that it matters, but whatever, you know. But she was railing about how, oh, you know, they call us funny little island people, but we're people, we deserve respect and all this other shit. And I posted on her blog, and I was like, I'm Filipino, and I say we take away your Filipino card. Fuck you. And actually, she did actually get a lot of hate from Filipinos, because Filipinos think that's the stupidest shit ever. If you're gonna be like sensitive about some shit like that, like, you need to not be Filipino. All right, you got real like, that's a hallmark of being Filipino, is to be deeply fucking cool with shit. And if you're not, you need to get the fuck out. Really, like, you need to stop. That needs to not be you. Lady, you got mixed dong in there. No sensitivity. Oh my god. But yeah, you know, that's all I'm saying. That's my opinion. YouTube's gonna demonetize some shit. Oh, no. Like, they can get really upset about it. Whatever. Do I need to block something else? I guess I could block his pants as brown. Let's just shoot some brown pants, I guess, and be happy. I guess. Let's shoot some brown pants in there. But yeah, it's, you know, she wrote this whole essay, you know, our food is unhealthy compared to all other Asian foods, like, you know, Vietnamese food and Japanese food. And I was like, you're right, that shit, our shit is unhealthy. It's greasy. We're not really known for anything except for making the yo-yo and the bolo, things that were once weapons to us but are toys to the outside world. I told her. So anyways, yeah. I mean, come on, that shit's funny, man. That is funny, right? I don't want him to have purple pants. I think purple pants kind of suck. It's just, I don't know. People need to... I think it's the worst thing. I personally think that that's contributing to the decline, the downfall of society, is the policing of language and, you know, trying to, like, not tell people that they can't say words and they can't think thoughts and all this other shit. I think it's terrible. That, you know, you bring a yo-yo to a gunfight? The bola is kind of a badass weapon. You can't, the thing is, you can't exclusively credit the Filipinos with coming up with the bola. I think the bola has its roots a little bit further back, but it was one of the first weapons that what they determined when, you know, in the Philippine Islands is using the yo-yo as a hunting weapon, and also the bolo in there. So we're giving our dude brown pants. Whoa. A Filipino gladiator got in a match in Rome and had a bolo as a side weapon along with sword and shield. Hunting with a yo-yo makes me laugh. Yeah, dude, they used to hunt with yo-yos, like much larger, like heavy yo-yos, and they would sling that shit at prey to catch them. Who knows what they were hunting, though? They could have been hunting, like, moths, or, you know, what else? Like, they could have been hunting, gnats. You know, all kinds of shit could go down to a yo-yo. Like a weaponized yo-yo, like, you better watch yourself. Alright, anything else? I mean, I could paint his pants inside there, but it's probably just gonna make a big old mess, so I don't give a shit. I think for fun, I'm going to shoot a little bit more white again on this. I'm just going to force this contrast, like, really high because I'm really bored. But yeah, I do think, I love that, you know, in the 70s, both in the 70s and the 90s, there were, you know, racial epithets were used, and it was a point of humor, right? You had All in the Family, you had the Jeffersons, you have those shows where Jeffersons used to use honky, like, you could have a counter for the number of times they used honky in Jeffersons. And that shit was hilarious. You know, and you also had, like, Archie Bunker, right? All in the Family. One of the funniest shows of all time. And I think, you know, Roseanne is trying to do, like, a light version of that. Like, Roseanne they came back and they're trying to make that, like, a kind of a lighter, more conservative-based comedy. But I don't think they're going to use any... I would be shocked if they use any, you know, racial epithets or anything like that. Conversely, who here, like, show of hands, who here has watched Cobra Kai? And if you haven't, why not? Why haven't you watched Cobra fucking Kai yet? You know, that's what I want to know. Who is watching Cobra Kai? Because you better be watching Cobra Kai. Yeah, Jeffersons, you'd be drunk for the amount of time Honky and Jive Turkey. Okay, so I'll talk to you a little bit about Cobra Kai. So, in Cobra Kai, you know, Johnny Lawrence, the bully, the quote-unquote bully from the first movie, he's one of the main characters in Cobra Kai, obviously, because it's about his dojo, Cobra Kai. And he is just the least PC person. You know, Canvas, don't get YouTube Red. Just watch the first 2 episodes because the shit is hilarious. Like, he's in his dojo, and his one and only student is a Hispanic kid, Mexican kid, right? And so an inspector comes in, a building inspector comes in, and says, you know, and it's like, oh well, you know, you don't have your business license yet. You can't be teaching people in here. Is that a student of yours? And Johnny's like, no man, that's an illegal. I just hired to clean up this place. Like, this show does not pull any punches. Like, they're like, yeah, Johnny Lawrence is a dick, white dude from Encino, and you know, older generation guy. He's born in the late 60s, so he's gonna say some shit like that. He's gonna say not PC shit, and he says it all throughout the show. He's like, well, yeah, we do this, but you guys are a bunch of pussies, like. And it's true to the character, right? And you just don't see a lot of shows doing that anymore. Like, they just don't have the balls to do that. So you should totally watch Cobra Kai. Just watch the first 2 episodes. They're free. You don't have to hop on YouTube Red. I'm not trying to get you to go on YouTube Red. But I will just say this as a not shameless plug, because I have no affiliation with them. It is by far the best thing I've seen this year. Cobra Kai is the best. It's the best show I've seen all year. Definitely better than that Westworld bullshit. Season 2 Westworld is just awful. And I did get into an argument with, oh shoot, that's bad. I did get into an argument with Richter the other night about Westworld Season 2, because I do think it's bad. And he was trying to defend this scene that I think is one of the dumbest scenes in action. One of the dumbest scenes in modern combat, like, TV show scenes I think I've ever seen. In, like, my entire life. It was so embarrassingly bad. And the other night, I was talking with Richter about it on Twitch, and he tried to defend it, and it sent me into, like, the biggest rant, like, since Star Wars. Right? I haven't ranted this hard over shit like this in a very, very long time. When did the feeling start? So I'm just... Woo! I got so much moisture in the line. Yeah. I just want to get color right there. There we go. That's good. Okay. So he's fairly well blocked at this point. Right? So the only other thing I need to do while we're here oh gosh. The only other thing I need to do here is start. I'm going to start working on the facial features. Alright, so let me clear the airbrush, and then we're going to get back to painting. So we're painting Vet Rage and regular Rage. But yeah, if you who here is watching Westworld Season 2? Is anyone watching it? Because that siege, that fort siege in episode 3 was one of the dumbest pieces of garbage I think I've ever seen. Like it is disturbingly dumb. Actually, it's not disturbingly dumb. I think it's a consequence of writers, modern day writers on these shows and stuff, not caring or not really focusing on combat aspects of combat or of action sequences. Okay, I think that's a normal or maybe a broad criticism we can make of modern storytelling, right? Is you have, you got like Brecken or Thaddeus or, Quinoa or some other bullshit hipster name, that works and writes for bullshit show. And they didn't grow up on Kurt Russell and, Charles Bronson. They didn't watch cool shit growing up. They, or they didn't like it. It was, toxic masculinity or some shit. The combat part of combat scenes to them was only about emotional theatrics. It's not about actually technically making sense. So when you watch stuff like this scene in Westworld, or some of the other scenes, like some of the violence that they depict in, say, like The Handmaid's Tale, and that kind of stuff, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense at all, because the person writing it has never been in a fight. They don't understand how bodies work. They don't know that if people shoot at you, that you need to duck, and even if you don't consciously think you need to, your body will. They don't understand stuff like that. They also don't understand, like, two sides to an argument, right? These are very emotionally minded people. They lack, which is weird, because you can simultaneously call these people emotionally focused and still point out that they don't have basic empathy skills. That's really fucking funny to me. Like, you are like highly emotional, but it's in the most selfish sense possible. You don't have the capacity to consider another side or another perspective. And I think that's what we're seeing. I think we're seeing writers, Hollywood writers, that are like that. And that's why bad guys suck now. That's why there aren't action heroes anymore. Unless if you're going to talk action heroes and action sequences, they're all retro. They're all retro themed and all retro based, right? Like, if you go, okay, what's the biggest action, actually combat action type sequences you can talk about, right? Is you can say, well, John Wick. Most people are going to say John Wick, right? If you're going to talk gun fu, John Wick. Sure, there's Deadpool, and there are Avenger movies and all this other stuff where bodies are controlled mostly with CGI, and there are a few practical effects in it, but it's a lot of the combats are all so supernatural that you don't really need to blame hippies. You don't really need to understand nuances of combat and fighting and that kind of stuff, nor do you care. right? If you're writing like Infinity War or some bullshit, these characters are so powerful that you're like, oh well, a kick or a throw would only get him this way. He really needs, you don't get into that. It's always just, oh well, he punches him and he flies through the air and hits the thing, right? So if you're like, for example, okay, like I watched my wife wants me to watch The Handmaid's Tale on Hulu, so I'm like, okay, whatever. We don't, I need to watch something with you, right? So I agreed. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get caught up on The Handmaid's Tale, and so I watched the first 2 episodes. And spoiler alert for those of you who actually would care to watch this show. I don't think my viewers would ever like care to watch this show. But I'm watching the show, right? And in the first episode, they find an abortion doctor, right? And he gets brought before, the whole crew of handmaids, and they're ordered to kill him, right? And so they kill this man by beating him to death, right? It's like a crowd of handmaids, and they're all in their little red nun outfits or whatever. And there's a slow motion scene of them like grimacing and like reaching out with their claws and their fists, like their claws, not their claws, their nails, like fists and nails, and kicking and punching and all this stuff, right? And it's usually only about, if you had a crowd of like 40 people, usually only about 8 to 9 of them that can actually be up front kicking and punching this guy, right? And these women they're this particular shot, all the women are they're all between, we'll say, 95 and 140 pounds, okay? Not big women. They're not big women in these crowd. And you're expecting, realistically, we'll say 8 or 9 of them to tear apart this guy and kill him. They're going to beat this man to death. That takes hours. I watched that scene, and it was all shot in slow-mo, and it was like this high dramatic. It's supposed to be a disturbing scene, and I thought it was fucking hilarious, right? Like, I was watching the scene going, this scene is really dumb and bad, because it doesn't, that's not how you beat someone to death. And if you were going to ask, it's very hard, unless you were to grab that person a specific way and like put your whole body up against his neck and try to break his neck. It's incredibly, what they're trying to do, the way that they're trying to do it makes no sense, and it's just not practical or feasible at all, right? Sure, people have been beaten to death, but by angry mobs, but not quite in that manner. When you're beaten to death by an angry mob, 1, it takes hours and hours and hours to do. 2, it could be stoning. It could, and it often is like physically stronger people that do that kind of stuff, right? So that scene made no sense. But it was like, and we talked about it, and it was like, well, didn't you find it disturbing? And I said, I guess, but I couldn't get my suspension of disbelief to stay with me, because that's just, asking a bunch of 110-pound women to like beat someone to death and not being done, and not taking 14-15 hours of constant beating to get a 100 and we'll call him 190-pound man. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, what are you beating this guy to death with? Like, with just your bare fists? That's gonna take forever. But anyways, it's stuff like that. When they write scenes like that, the intent of the scene isn't that we would sit there and do what I just did and logistically look at that scene, objectively look at that scene and go, yeah, that's not very feasible, and therefore I didn't really like the scene. They didn't write that scene for people like me. They wrote that scene so that you could be like, that you're really only looking at it from the emotional perspective, like, oh, shock, oh my God, they killed a guy, they beat him to death, and it was savage, and you're like, but there's the rest of us, there's a few of us like holding up our hands and like, can we talk this through? That scene didn't make sense. The scene didn't really. Gotta disagree, man. Reckon a few women could stomp a dude to death in a few minutes with some well-placed throat or head stomp. Well, that's what I was talking about, Canvas, is that, yes, you could beat someone to death if you were to use the full weight of your body against a particularly vulnerable area. And I totally agree with you. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the way they shot the scene was just sort of like a pantomime would be like, I'm clawing at you like this, and it just shows them like cocked back and like throwing a punch here and there, or or sticking a foot out. You're not going to kill somebody that way. You're not going to kill someone that way. Okay, so I agree with you, Canvas. If you had people who knew what they were doing and they could actually focus the full weight or the full force of their body in specific areas, then absolutely they could do that. But not just this scene did not make sense. And if you want to check it, feel free to like just look up that like first execution scene in the Handmaid's Tale. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't fly. And it's because they wrote that, and they don't care if it does either. They don't really. It's just, what if they explained that by not dying he was oppressing them? But yeah, that's the point, right? It doesn't care. They don't need you to follow a train of logic. They want you to be at a very specific place emotionally, right? And I think that's shitty and lazy writing. I think that's not good. I think if you're, if you want to actually elicit an emotional response from your viewer, then I think the more graphic and the more realistic you are, I think the more likely you are going to get that. For some people, it's enough just the very thought of like, oh, this was a good man and we killed him. I guess that does it for an audience that is sort of, I guess, hoping to be depressed, but not for other people. It doesn't. The local man beat a guy to death last year. Altercation was 5 minutes at most, and the guy died. Right. I'm saying that's a guy that knew what he was doing and hit the guy at a vital point. So, yes, you can beat someone to death. You can actually do that. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm saying the specific way in which they shot the scene and the logistics and the physics around how they describe it doesn't add up. That's all. And I do think it's because they don't care to. They don't. That's not. It. They didn't consider it important logistically enough to consult with somebody. Right? They didn't. It's not like they didn't call a martial artist or even a doctor, a nurse, or an EMT, anybody with a rudimentary understanding of biology. They didn't consult that person because that person would tell them that there are X and Y chromosomes and 2 sexes, and that person would have been fired immediately. Well, biological science, and then we don't have time for your hate speech, and they would have fired that person like immediately. So. But that's what I'm getting at. There's stuff like that in modern storytelling that is just embarrassingly bad. And then, and that Westworld scene was embarrassingly bad. So, like, after my tirade the other night, I went and I watched, I looked up Westworld, Fort Forlorn or whatever the hell it's called. And the HBO behind the scenes thing popped up on YouTube. and I watched the HBO behind the scenes thing, and I was shocked. I was like, how can so many people be involved in this stupidity? And none of them bothered to check mark or checkbox any sort of logical sense to this combat sequence. Nobody, none of these people, and it depressed me a little bit. It just made me kind of sad. And then finally, I went to the comment section of this HBO video, and there was there's like 1 out of every 3 comments down there was like, I can't believe you guys let this stupidity make it to the screen. Does nobody understand that that's not how firefights work? You guys, this is one of the dumbest scenes I've ever seen, right? And for a moment, anyways, my faith in humanity was restored, because it's like, okay, I'm glad that I'm not the only person that sees this as the dumbest crap ever, right? But I do think that it's because these are aspects of storytelling, two specific aspects. Combat and villains are not well understood by the modern storytellers. Let's see. It's because people nowadays don't understand that good people can die, so they do something like that to shock millennials, because millennials don't understand death is blind. Millennials, yeah, yes. It's more than just millennials too, though. I think there has been such a push for emotional IQ that it's actually damaging the basic tenets of logic, and it's actually, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of value to emotional IQ. There's a lot to it, but I think we've pushed so hard against logical thinking and logical IQ that it's basically a forbidden art at this point. It's basically hate speech to practice or to understand or believe in basic biological science. I know that sounds like hyperbole on my part, but I really do think that that's the case, and I think I'm almost kind of proud that I have a degree in biology, because it's almost like having a degree in hate. It's like I have a degree in a subject that 30 years from now might be illegal to study, right? Are people going to start burning biology textbooks because biology textbooks say things like humans are a sexually dimorphic species. There are men and women, and they look different, and they have different physical attributes. And to say that out loud is like hate speech, right? To say that and operate around that is hate speech. But that's a basic tenet of biological sciences, is understanding a concept like that. But people, it's I don't know why, but it's so that we're criminalizing that kind of thought now. So if you have a degree in biology, if you study biology, dude, you have something that's about to become incredibly taboo, if not illegal, to study. It's crazy, when I read things like, biology is sexist and all this stuff, and they were written in scientific journals. That is that is deeply, deeply terrifying to me. Now, don't get me wrong, it's been a long time since I've actually worked or operated within the sciences, but still, I do it's crazy. It's like watching a modern watching a modern Dark Age. It's like emotional Fahrenheit 451, burn everything that brings out bad feeling. They're doing actually a Fahrenheit. They're going to be doing a Fahrenheit 451 series on HBO. I'd be interested to see where they take that series. You have to assume that they're going to approach it from a politically left point of view. So the people burning the books in the that show will be from the right. But you know, if you look at modern examples, who are burning the books right now? It's the ideological left are burning books. They're burning, you know, they got To Kill a Mockingbird banned. They have books, you know, Stanford University has books like modern or classical literature they've banned for using the N-word. And you know, and they're destroying those books. They may not burn them in public, but they're destroying those books. You have comic book pros that are actually trying to get you to not read comic books. You have you know, even like from a completely symbolic standpoint, Yoda in The Last Jedi is coming out and burning fucking books, man. That's some crazy shit. And to me, it's like the side that's burning books. Well, that's the side that's wrong. Automatically, you are automatically wrong if that's what you're doing. Side note, I don't know if you guys know this, but it is one of my life's aspiration to write a book that gets burned. That means I've truly done something in my life. You know, if I want to live like a meaningful existence here, that's one of my goals. What had Yoda did? Well, yeah, it's a spoiler, whatever, The Last Jedi, whatever shit. Like, they get into, you know, they get into, you know, the mistakes of the Jedi, how the Jedi are bad for the universe or whatever, some shit. And, you know, Spirit Yoda comes out and he calls down a lightning strike to hit a tree and like burn down the ancient Jedi texts. Right? It's basically the director of that movie basically saying that all that shit that you liked about Jedi and Jedi teachings are all bad. Right? Those are all bad, and you need to not do those things, and you need to be ashamed if you do. So Yoda literally, and no, he didn't, because I guess they kept some of the text, but he literally did, yeah. Which is crazy. Like, what enlightened person ever burns a book? It doesn't matter. Honestly, it doesn't matter if that book is Mein Kampf. That book, you need that book. And especially if you don't agree with what's inside it, you need that book. You need to study that book. You need to understand that. And the people who don't, the people who take away your right to read that book and understand it and agree or disagree with it, like, those are the people in the wrong. Automatically. You are automatically in the wrong if you're pro burning books. Like, you fucked up. You know, I remember 20 years ago, it was the religious right that were burning Harry Potter. And they, just like, you know, they had burned D&D books in the street. They had burned, they burned those same classic literature books. They burned all those in public, too. Those were all, you know, amoral books. So what difference does it make if the left is doing that too? If the right, the religious right, did it 20 years ago, and now the religious left did it, or they're doing it now. I mean, not the, well, yeah, the religious left. You know, they don't go to church, but they follow their own tenets like religion. So if that's the case, like, how are they any more right? How are they any more correct than... Luke tried rebuilding the glory days of the Jedi or something. I don't know. The new trilogy is, that's not confusing. It's just bad. That's all you need to know about it. It's bad. It's a bad story. It's poorly written, poorly conceived. But yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. So we're almost at 10 o'clock. So I am going to be heading over to Twitch pretty soon. Let's just finish getting this first layer of skin down. Know how I feel about. There we go. Because it's for their version of the greater good, it's okay if they do it, but if no one else does, right? But we're right this time. Oh yeah, but we're on the right side, but we're doing the same shit that the other guys did when they were wrong. But not us. It's okay for us to burn books and to call black people coons, or it's pretty funny. Like if you, like I say, like if you wanna prove that racism exists in America, if you want to prove that sexism exists in America, it's very, very easy. You can do it in 5 minutes. All you have to do, very simple. All you have to do is have a black conservative come out and tweet something, and just watch and watch people call him coon. Black people, white people, watch people call him coon and Uncle Tom and House N and all this other stuff. Like watch it. It'll immediately come out. You don't even have to wait probably 5 minutes, right? It'll happen. You can prove that racism exists in America. You can prove that sexism exists in America. Have a woman come out and say, "Hey, you know, me personally, I want to live according to what you would think is traditional sex roles." Then you'd have men, you'd have these male feminists coming out and calling her, a traitor to her own kind. They would say she's a dumb bitch. You can watch misogyny happen. It's very simple. So everything that these people are crying about, evils in the modern world and all that stuff, they're right. All of that stuff does exist. It's just they're the ones doing it, right? They have so you can agree with them on that. Like, oh, you think America's racist, more racist than it was, 10 years ago? I'll say absolutely it is. It definitely is. And you're the cause of it. You are the ones perpetuating it. So, anyway, so it is 10 o'clock. I'm going to switch over to Twitch. So I will see you guys there in a few. And if not, have a good night, everybody. Those of you who won't be following us over. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. How do you stop this thing? It's been so long. How do you... Wait a minute. How do you stop this thing? Hold on.